I'm listening to How to Win Friends and Influence People right now. And it's just like, once you can master persuasion and just, and I used to think of it as like a slimy skill, but I realize now that when you're good at it, it's not at all. In fact, it's good to have a good salesman, somebody who genuinely wants to basically fill your needs and your interests. And that's what it comes down to. But when I'm thinking about me and what I want to, I want to just, pitch to you, that's how I always thought selling was. And I realized that good sales is not. So
it's never about you. Not a single ounce of that conversation should ever be about you or your needs for that matter. Because, I think a lot of people when they walk into a sales company, and I used to do the same thing, you got to realize though, I've been in sales for like 14 fucking years, man. So I have seen everything. I mean, I've been in full commission professional sales when I was selling like 6 months worth of food all at once. I mean, I talked a little bit about that with my conversations with Kevin, because I was a very similar industry when I first started selling. I was in telemarketing and I did full commission outside sales for them too. And then I guess one thing that was kind of interesting in that was, I, at one point when I was in that role, I sold pork chops to a pig farmer,
Okay.
which is crazy when you think about it. Right. But I didn't think it was that crazy at the time because and here's the thing. So my manager came in after I did that and he was like, I cannot fucking believe you just sold pork chops to a pig farmer. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, well, like what's wrong with that? Right.
It's like ice to an Eskimo, right?
But from my perspective, I was like, all I did was I walked in there and I asked him a bunch of questions and I wanted to find out why he was a pig farmer. Was he a pig farmer because he was doing it for business and such, or was he doing it because of other reasons? So I was naturally curious. I asked questions and I said, okay, well, why do you raise your own pigs? What he told me was because he could not find the quality of pork anywhere else. And that's why he grew pigs on his own, but he doesn't necessarily want to grow pigs. He raises pigs because he likes having high quality pork. And I said, okay, well, if I could show you how, maybe we can give you higher quality pork without you having to raise your, pigs and slaughter them and that sort of stuff, would you be willing to try it out? Because if so, if you like it, in the future, you don't have to, slaughter pigs anymore and such. Is that something you're open to?
Yeah.
And that was it. I just had some fucking question, dude. That's all it takes, dude.
Sure.
People overthink like, okay, what if I told you I sold pork chops to a pig farmer? Do you really think I would have sold it the same way I just did?
No, I mean, makes sense, everything you said.
No, because good salespeople don't pitch. They never fucking pitch. Right. Anyone who says pitch, tell them to shut the fuck up. They don't know what the hell they're fucking talking about. Right. And the best salespeople, and this is one thing I really want to stress on you. I cannot stress enough on the importance of this specifically. The best salespeople in the world are the best question askers, and they listen more and they talk less.
Sure.
Because I can tell you this much: if you ask the right questions and if you ask, the right information, and you don't ask questions because it's a check mark on a fucking box that you're supposed to fucking ask.
Right.
But ask questions because you're naturally curious about, well, help me understand this. Like, so you do this, but why don't you do that? So because you can't understand how their frame of mind is and how their decision-making process works unless you can understand where they are in their head too. And then genuinely have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So having a very strong EQ, having a lot of empathy for people in general, listening to people's stories, and then having genuinely giving a fuck about them. Those are all things that are the trademarks of the best salespeople in the world. And I can tell you this much: for all the people that I have sold to in the past, not a single fucking one of them have ever felt like I pushed anything, that I was pushy, that I was a hard closer or anything like that. At the end of the day, all I want to do is just help you solve problems. And a lot of times people don't even realize what their actual problems really are until you really start peeling back that onion. And then you start asking them questions about really what the heart of the problem really is. And what you'll find oftentimes is that the problems that they experience are not necessarily what they even think they are. And then if you can really think about things like you're a detective, right? So I'm a sleuth. I'm going to figure out, when I talk to you, I'm going to figure out what the problems are. And then I'm going to try to peel back that onion and take it a couple layers deep and see, is it really related to what you think it is? Or is there something else in your business? You might say, well, I'm not growing. Okay, well, is it a leads problem or is it a process problem? Let's talk about your sales process. Tell me how about that it works, And so when you dig for information, when you are a sleuth for a client, when you really genuinely are really connecting the dots in your mind, putting yourself in their shoes, thinking about why they made the decisions that they did, it helps you actually really understand what's going to make them want to buy at the end of the day. And also, the most important thing is when you're a salesperson, or if you really want to go down the path of being a very good salesperson, never, ever, 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 ever be full of shit. Ever. Be 1,000% brutally fucking honest with the people that you're selling. Don't be full of shit. If you are even, if you even have to kind of like lie a little bit to go down the path, you've already fucking failed. Be brutally honest in all scenarios. But if you're brutally honest and it paints you in a bad picture, tell them how you're going to overcome that particular scenario too.
Okay.
So for example, like, with a lot of my clients, I'll tell them in the first place, look, here's the deal. This is going to be fucking hard in the very beginning. Like when you and I start working with each other, I'm going to create a lot of work for you and I'm going to create a lot of work for your team. Also, it's not going to be a very easy path to go down in the very beginning. This is going to take a couple months for you to really get the process of what we're trying to, incorporate here. Because if you haven't done a tremendous amount of cold traffic, in the very beginning, it's going to feel like you're spending a lot of work and a lot of time and you're not getting the kind of results that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of value in spending some time figuring out what's working and what's not working with your business, but also internally your processes are going to change. It's like almost kind of like drinking from a fire hose. If you're used to seeing maybe a handful of new patients every single month, and all of a sudden I just light that shit with rock and then send you 70 fucking people in a month, all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh my God. So I can tell you, Mr. Client, I'm going to create more problems for you in the very beginning. I'm just letting you know that right now. On top of that, also, this is going to be very difficult. This is not going to be something that in the very beginning, it's just going to be like sunshine and rainbows. It's like that with some people, but also with some of my clients, they need a little bit of help to refine the process. And that's where my job is, right? So you and I will work together on making sure that you can get the best out of what we're producing for you leads wise and be able to actually maximize your return on investment. But again, it's painful. It's going to be, it's like boot camp, right? We're going to be going through that for the next couple of months. And I can also tell you in the very beginning, your return on investment is probably not going to be as attractive as we'd like it to be. It takes some time for you to work through your processes with the sales on the back end. It also takes a lot of time to figure out what's going to work in your market, for advertising and such, because at the end of the day, the Facebook ad auction is different everywhere you go. So what works in one market may not work in the other one, right? But I can tell you this much, with all the stuff I just told you, we can overcome that. I've already seen it multiple times now at this point, either myself or other people that I'm associated with. We've gone through the same struggle with you. And from my perspective, are we going to be failing probably a little bit in the very beginning? Absolutely. However, I can tell you this much. I'm just in the trenches just as much as you do. And from my perspective, if you fail, I fail too. And I don't want to let that happen. So I paint this picture, by the way, Mr. Client, before you and I start working with each other, because I can tell you, if I don't set realistic expectations for how this is actually going to go, you're going to say, advertising doesn't work for me. You might even fire me at that point. And then you told me a goal in the beginning of this conversation that you're probably not going to be able to hit had it not been for me taking a little bit of extra time and helping with that. And I don't want to see you fail. So I'm willing to help you get to where we need to go. I'm willing to also be in the trenches just as much as you do. And I can tell you this much, when you come to me and you tell me all the issues that you're experiencing, I have solutions to these problems. So over time, we will build that scale. We will build that process, and we will build your business to the point where you can adequately handle the kind of volume that you need to see to get to where your goals are. Mm-hmm. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's going to take time, and it's going to be painful. And I'm here every step of the way with you. So just know that going into this, Mr. Client, that when it comes down to what this is going to look like for the next month, 2 months, it's going to be painful. But once we get past that, you will reach every single metric that you're looking for in your business and you'll be hitting your stride. You just have to make sure that you get it to that point and that you communicate with me with what your problems are so that I can help you overcome them. So that's an example of being brutally honest and talking to the client about what they're realistically going to experience, but also presenting the solution to the problem. Do not present problems without solutions. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just being a negative Nancy and you totally just painted yourself in the worst fucking possible way, and you'll never sell anyone at that point, right?
Right.
But if you're brutally honest with them, and then also you let them know I have a solution for that, by the way, then at that point it's not going to feel like, holy shit, you were just brutally honest, but then you never had anything to back it up afterwards. You're just saying, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. Go fuck yourself. Do you want to buy? That's not going to work very well.